Okay, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, I was facing some issues with the mic. So when something goes wrong while you are on Zoom and something goes wrong with the mic, it goes to mute mode. Just realize that something was wrong. Okay, let me start all over. All right, so welcome to the tutorial class for semester 1. Okay, week 2, semester 1, 2021. Now, what I was talking earlier, and I guess I spoke to myself since the mic wasn't working. So our timetable still remains the same. Okay, Wednesday to 4 p.m., Friday to 4 p.m. I do realize that there were some students who dropped me emails requesting for change in timetable. Unfortunately, there were many clashes which I couldn't sort it out. So we'll stick our timetable as it is at the moment. And those of you who are missing on to the classes, you can always view the recordings. For instance, for week 2, you have the lecture recording. Okay, so on your free time, you can always go and view those recordings. Now, moreover, okay, as for this particular class, we'll be going over our tutorials. Now, tutorial 2, questions number 1 to 3, you had to answer it in the tutorial forum. Okay, now if you have answered it, thank you very much. Now, those of you who sent me emails requesting that you're not getting the sample answers yet, okay, the thing is the sample answers need to be manually fed in. So what I'll be doing is, based on where you have replied your answers, I will go in and I will manually send you the answers. So give me time, let's say probably by this Sunday, I should be able to send forth the sample answers to each and every one. Also, so that's on tutorial questions 1 to 3. Now, case study 1, this is what we'll be looking at in this particular class. We'll be taking about 30 minutes to 45 minutes in terms of reading the case study and trying to answer the questions, whereby I'll be giving you the sample answers. Most preferably, I would be dictating it to you. So should you have any questions or queries, feel free to ask and I will be most happy to answer them. Now, after that, what we'll be doing is we will be going in and we'll have a look at our critique writing. Your critique writing carries 5% towards your coursework. So we'll have a look at the questions and then we'll discuss how you can go around doing critique writing. I really hope that you have done some critique writings previously. If you have not, so I'll take you over it and I will try to make it as simple as possible so that you are able to understand. Now, there's one more thing. There are some of you who have basically dropped me emails telling me that you have chosen a particular question for the critical writing. Now, if you are one of those who have sent me emails, I've replied you back and I've told you something like this. Now, with the critic question selection, you'll have to select it in this particular section where it says choose your critic question. And if you would go around selecting it, it's not available at the moment. Now, it's available from Saturday, 7th of August, 1 a.m. That means tomorrow morning, 1 a.m., this would open up. So you have whole of tomorrow. And as much as time you take, you actually go and select your question. But here's a catch. If our group selects a question, that question becomes unavailable for the other groups. Let me repeat that. If a group selects a question, that particular question becomes unavailable to the other groups. Now you must be thinking, why Saturday, 1 a.m.? Why not today? Why not when the question was released? Now, the reason being why is we have to cater for working class students as well, because most of them, they view the recordings either on Fridays or they view it on the very afternoon of when the class had taken place. So I thought, let's give a open playground, okay, whereby all of you can get the opportunity to select questions freely, okay, and all of you have that availability on you. All right, so to open up tomorrow morning, 1 a.m. And also please note, if you're doing it individually, that's fine. You are the one who will go and select the question. If you're doing in pairs or if you're doing it in groups of three, so one person who tends to be the group leader, he or she would go and select question only. The other group members will take part in the selection process, but the group leader is the one who would be the liaising person between Moodle, myself, and the group. Any questions so far? No questions? Then let's begin with our tutorial. Now, CRM 708 Management Information Systems. Now, let me just remind you, this particular unit, CRM 708, it is a theory-intensive unit. You'll have lots of theories in here, okay? And what we're looking at is basically we're looking at different types of information systems, exceptionally in terms of management information systems. So you're thinking about things in ways we can make decisions. We can go around evaluating, analyzing, and assessing things in a business so that the business succeeds. Now, if you're finding it too difficult to understand the concepts, the most simple and easy way to grasp these concepts is to read. Read as much as possible. Okay, read your lecture notes, go through tutorials. I would suggest go through the tutorial samples answers, because the important things generally I tend to give out in the tutorial questions. So if you're reading the answers, if you're going over your tutorials over and over again, that should give you a good understandability of what the theories and the concepts are about. Questions 1 to 3, this is what you had to answer in the forum. Those you have answered, there's about 7 of you have already answered. Thank you so much for your correspondence. Thank you for taking time out and actually attempting those questions. Simple answer, like mentioned before Sunday, should be there. Those who actually attempted. Now, case study 1, we have 4 questions. Now, what I generally do is when I have case studies, especially in the exams, when I have case studies or when I have a lot of reading, and after that reading, there's a set of questions that I will need answer, I go and read the questions first. Why? Because that gives me a good idea what things to note down and where. Now, in case studies like these, what we have here, you do not have direct answers. You're supposed to draw conclusions from those case studies, but still it's always good to read the questions first. So case study 1, it's a question 1, define the 3 types of decision-making systems and how machine learning in the workplace could affect each. So 3 types of decision-making systems. The easy way that I could recall is there are 3 types of decisions. You have structured, you have semi-structured, and unstructured. So the answer lies between these 3 things. Question number 2, identify how machine learning can transform a traditional business like checking out of a grocery store. So how can machine learning aid in it? Question number 3, explain the relationship between bias and the machine learning for Alexa. Now, Alexa is a kind of a AI system, a machine learning system, which is developed by Amazon Incorporations. Now, Amazon, the e-commerce website, they have a technology-based company in US as well, where they go around creating new technology. Lots of engineers, lots of programmers, lots of new technologies that they go around creating and maintaining. So we'll be talking about Alexa in our case study. And question number 4, argue for or against the following statement. Machine learning systems like Alexa invade user privacy. So we'll go and talk in favor of, or we'll talk against Alexa and see what all we can come up with. So let's hop into a case study. It's about 1 page of reading. So I'll read it out, and whereby if I feel something is important, I'll stop there and I'll describe it probably. I'll give out the definition. Otherwise, we'll continue reading. Now, voice-based artificial intelligent devices are not just jukebox with attitude rather. So when we talk about jukebox, a jukebox is a partially automated music play device. So it's just like what jukebox normally do is they play music based on your command. Okay, so those are jukeboxes. In fact, they just might be the primary way we interact with all future machines. August 31st, 2012 was the date four Amazon engineers filed a patent for Alexa, an artificial intelligence system designed to engage with one of the world's biggest and most tangled data sets, human speech. Okay, so what Alexa is basically, it does a certain amount of work based on human speech. So if Alexa, if let's say if I'm in a particular room and if I have the machine Alexa in there, and if I would command Alexa something, so that machine performs those kind of work. Okay, now how does it do? The basic concept is to the use of artificial intelligence systems. The patent had a simple diagram and 11 words. Please play Let It Be by Beatles. Okay, so this is a song. A small device replies, no problem, John. So the person's name is John, and the person is asking, please play Let It Be by Beatles. And the device replies, no problem, John. The song begins playing. Millions of Alexa machines were sold when the device debuted in 2014. Home-based artificial intelligence systems are turning out to be a big success as banks, universities, law firms, etc. compete to create simple devices that people can talk to directly. What makes voice-based AI so appealing to consumers is its promise to conform to us, to respond to the way we speak and think, without requiring us to type on a keyboard or screen. Okay, uh, just stop here. I'll just stop here and then describe what we're reading. So in 2012, so Amazon engineers they came up with a patent for Alexa. So patent is like declaring that you're coming up with an original work. And what Alexa was is basically it's a machine that corresponds based on human command or human speech. Right? So that's why I'm saying without requiring us to type on a keyboard or screen. So since you're speaking and the machine performs based on your speech, it does not require a consumer to actually go and type something on the keyboard or screen. Let's continue reading. That's also what makes it so technically difficult to build. We aren't at all orderly when we talk. Instead, we interrupt ourselves. We let thoughts dangle. We use words, nods, and grunts in odd ways, and we assume that we are making sense, even when we are not. Very true. Okay, it's so difficult to make artificial intelligence systems whereby machines are able to recognize human speech. Because when we are talking, half the time we are waving with our hand, we are making signals with our hand. Some of us, we have a habit of nodding a lot. For some of us, especially here in Fiji, we raise eyebrows just to indicate either it means yes or no. So with machine learning, it becomes very difficult to build these kind of systems. Fortunately, what Alexa was doing, this particular machine, if you go around reading more about Alexa, what it was doing was it was basically listening to human commands, and then the artificial intelligence system would try to adjust what this particular person would say or adjust based on their speech the way of speaking. Okay, their speech would try to adjust to it and then would act accordingly. So over time this particular machine completely adjusts to your way of speech, completely adjusts to way of talking. So it's an intelligent system, remember? So it's supposed to pick up, it's supposed to act accordingly. And obviously, it's supposed to be intelligent. Let's continue. The third paragraph. Thousands of Amazon staffers are working on this challenge, and the company currently lists over 1100 or 1100 Alexa job requests on its website. Machine learning technique re-examined thousands of exchanges in which Alexa stumbled. Now, what it simply means is this. Now, there are so many job requests on their website. Why? Because when they tried Alexa to do something, it couldn't adjust to it. So that's why They went around re-examining and then trying to refix the issue. With Alexa's users surging, Amazon now has access to an expensive repository of human-computer speech interactions, giving it an edge in fine-tuning its voice technology. External data adds value, such as a massive database of song lyrics loaded into Alexa in 2016, helping ensure if you ask for the song with song name Drove My Chevy to the Levee, you would be steered on McLean's American Pie. Now, what it simply means is this from here onwards, okay? Since Alexa's usage, the machine was used to an extent, okay? So Amazon went around creating a expensive. Now the word expensive here, it's not ENSIVE, because if it was E, it means expensive, costly. This expensive means something is large. So they created a large repository. Now the simple term for the word repository is data. So they created a large repository database, okay, large database for human computer speech interactions. So in the databases, this is what they did. They inserted human voice, they inserted human commands, and the way a machine would interact to it. So that actually enabled Alexa to have a bit of fine tuning to the voice technology, okay? Otherwise, what would happen is something like this, okay? It gives an example. If somebody asks Alexa to play a song, it directs the customer or the person to something else. So in this case, it's asking for a song. Now it's directing the Alexa is directing the person to the movie American Pie. Okay, so that's why it needed some fine tuning. Of course, with all technology, there are bugs and glitches. I'm sure you've heard of the frightening Alexa rogue laughter that was happening in people's homes during the night. Let's pause. Now, machine, technology, they all have faults. Now, when we have problems and faults in programming languages, we call it as bugs. Now, bugs does not basically mean that you literally have a bug, an insect in the machine. No, this bug would mean in IT terms is that there is a programming error somewhere. It's very much inevitable. You'll have bugs, you'll have glitches when it comes to technologies. So Alexa had a bug, it had a glitch. So in the middle of the night, it would have a rogue laughter. And not just a rogue laughter, frightening rogue laughter. So when people would be asleep, all of a sudden at night, this machine, Alexa, would start laughing in the middle of the night, and that too frightening rogue laughter. So people will get scared. So that was a glitch. Now, Amazon stated Alexa's random laughter that was creeping customers out was a result of Alexa mistakenly hearing the phrase Alexa laugh. Now, I don't know how it would mistakenly hear somebody say Alexa laugh in the middle of the night when people are sleeping, but this is what they're saying. Amazon changed the phrase to Alexa, can you laugh, which is less likely to have false positives, and disabled the short utterance Alexa laugh. Amazon has reprogrammed Alexa's response from simple laughter to sure I can laugh followed by laughter. Now, what they did to fix it, they went around rephasing some of the human-computer speech interaction. So Alexa would only laugh if a person would laugh. So let's say if I'm laughing, like if I would say something and laugh, then Alexa would laugh straight after what I do. Okay. This confirms the theory that Alexa was falsely triggered and not possessed. Now people thought that it was actually possessed. So it's because it was laughing in the middle of the night, and that too not just normal laugh, but frightening rogue laughter. Just imagine you are sleeping in the middle of the night and the machine starts laughing in a very frightening way. Okay, I'm not sure what people will think in that point in time, but this is what happened with Alexa. While it's promising the company fixed an issue, that probably isn't enough to comfort users who allegedly had Alexa laughing for no reason in the middle of the night. Okay, so finishes up our case study. Interesting, it's quite interesting. to think that you have machines who are able to perform this. Now, there's another machine or another artificial intelligence system which just recently kicked off to the highest of all possibilities. It's called Google Home System. Now, Google as a whole system is a machine that you would have microphones and speakers attached in your houses. So if you would say Google turn off lights, so it will turn off lights in your entire house. So everything needs to be connected to it. So if you say Google adjust the temperature of the air, adjust the temperature of the aircon to 21 degrees Celsius, and it would act accordingly. So these kind of systems are called artificial intelligence systems. Artificial intelligence, you have intelligence. For example, intelligence is generally related to humans. Okay, intelligence means the ability to think. Somebody is smart, intelligent. Artificial intelligence is you're trying to simulate or replicate human intelligence in machines. And we have an example here, Alexa. Okay, and how it turned out to be a big thing until that laughter came in, but people are still using it. And eventually it faded away because Google took over most of Google Home System took over most of it, most of their market share. So let's go and answer the questions. Now, like I mentioned, it is not directly related to, it's not directly a code kind of answer from the case study. You'll have to make conclusions. So number one, define the three primary types of decision-making systems and how machine learning in workplace could affect each. Okay, so I hope you're able to see my screen. Okay, and let's go and try answering those questions. Now, like mentioned earlier, there are three types of primary decision-making systems. Okay, you have a structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. Okay, and we'll go and have a look at it. Now, with this answer, you should know that with the three primary types of decision-making systems, you have the three primary categories of decision makers as well. Can somebody give me a hint? What are the three primary categories of decision makers in an organization? Anyone? This was probably one of the first things we did in our lecture class. It is related to the three levels of workers you have in an organization. All right, okay. The three primary decision makers are operational, managerial, and strategic. So when you talk about operational decision makers, these are the people who work at the very lower level of the organization, and they ensure that things are running or the activities are running in an organization on day-to-day basis. And then you have managerial. So managerial will most likely be the supervisors or probably the regional managers and so forth. And then you have the strategic decision makers. So the strategic decision makers would be like chief financial officer, chief executive officer, chief information officer, and so forth. So let's go and write down the answers. Now I'll be dictating it. Please do write it. It's supposed to help you out in your revision. And let's begin. Okay. First of all, you'll write down operational level and give a dash. Operational level, give a dash. We're giving out the three primary types of decision-making systems. The first one is operational level dash. Employees develop, comma. Employees develop, comma. Control, comma. Control, comma. And maintain core business activities. And maintain core business activities. And maintain core business activities required to run required to run the day-to-day operations. Required to run the day-to-day operations. Full stop. Day-to-day operations, full stop. Operational decisions are considered structured decisions. Operational decisions are considered structured decisions. Comma, operational decisions are considered structured decisions, comma, which arise in situations where established processes offer potential solutions. Full stop. Offer potential solutions, full stop. Structured decisions are made frequently. Structured decisions are made frequently. Structured decisions are made frequently and are almost repetitive in nature. And are almost repetitive in nature. Semicolon. And are almost repetitive in nature, semicolon. They affect short-term business strategies. They affect short-term business strategies. Full stop. Now, this was the first primary type of decision-making system. We talked about operational level. We defined it, that these are the employees which maintain core business activities and they look after day-to-day operations of a business. Then what kind of decisions they make? They make structured decisions. So what is the purpose of structured decisions? It offers potential solutions. And then what is structured decision? Okay, so these are the types of decisions that are frequently made and they are repetitive in nature. And moreover, we said finally that they are short-term business strategies. Okay, the second part of the question said how machine learning in the workplace could affect each. So what we'll do is we'll give down, first of all, I'll give down the first primary type of decision-making system and how machine learning can affect the workplace. Okay, so the second part is this. You can give a full stop, move on to the next line. Wearable technologies, wearable, wearable, wearable technologies are examples of machine learning technologies. Are example of machine learning. Don't use the word technology, just use machine learning. Are example of machine learning that could be used in workplaces. That could be used in workplaces. Example, for example, track employees, track employees, comma, sales patterns, sales patterns tracking, sales patterns tracking, and sales patterns tracking and temperature control in machinery, and temperature control in machinery. Full stop. So one example we've given for machine learning in an organization would be wearable technologies. These are something that you wear. Okay, so you have RFID wearable devices that allows you to RFID, radio frequency identification. Okay, RFID wearable devices that allows you to track employees. Now, how to track employees? So these RFID wearable devices, they have a controller. So as soon as an employee walks into a building, so it automatically feeds data into the computer system, so tracking employees. And then you have sales patterns, which could be tracked using wearable devices, how many items you are selling. So all of it could have close to about all of it could have, sorry, barcode readers. So as soon as they go out of the organization, there would be a receiving device that reads out the barcode reader and alerts the computing machines. And then you have the temperature controls. So the temperature controls in machinery. So this is where a person wears a watch kind of device, and as soon as he or she goes close to the machinery, it detects the temperature. Okay, there's a built-in thermometer in there. It detects a temperature, and then it revamps the machine to maintain their temperatures. Now, where are these things? I'm speaking examples. Where are they coming from? These examples, if you would go around reading few things on technology, these things are already active in most of the places in the world, and you'll be quite surprised that some of the companies in Fiji, they even use this. Okay, so it's there already in many businesses. The second primary types of decision making system that we're looking at is managerial level. So please write down managerial level. Managerial, MANAGERIAL, managerial level. Give a dash. Employees are continuously employees are continuously employees are continuously evaluating company operations. Evaluating, EVALUATING, evaluating company operations. Evaluating company operations to hone the firm's abilities. To hone, spelling of hone is HONE, to hone the firm's abilities. The meaning of the word hone is increase. Okay, to hone the firm's abilities. To hone the firm's abilities to identify, comma, to identify, comma, adapt to, comma, adapt to, comma, and leverage change. And leverage, 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 and leverage change, full stop. Managerial decisions cover managerial decisions cover managerial decisions cover short and medium range plans. Managerial decisions cover short and medium range plans. Short and medium range plans, comma, schedules and budget, schedules and budgets, schedule or schedule, how do you pronounce it? Okay, schedules and budgets, along with policies, comma, schedules and budgets, along with policies, comma, procedures, comma, procedures, comma, and business objectives, along with policies, comma, procedures, comma, and business objectives for the firm, and business objectives for the firm. Full stop. These types of decisions are considered. These types of decisions are considered. These types of decisions are considered semi-structured decisions. Full stop. Semi-structured decisions, full stop. They occur in situations in which a few established processes. They occur in situations in which a few established processes, in which a few established processes help to evaluate potential solutions. Help to evaluate potential solutions, comma, help to evaluate potential solutions, comma, but not enough to lead to a, but not enough to lead to a definite recommended decision, but not enough to lead to a definite recommended decision, full stop. not enough to lead to a definite recommended decision, full stop. Machine learning in workplaces can be used to machine learning in workplaces could be used to make managerial decisions. Fire the managerial decisions by using wearable technologies. So again, using example of wearable technology, why it's very much common here in Fiji, so we use that. For example, tracking the number of employees in a warehouse. For example, tracking the number of employees in the warehouse or reporting malfunctions in equipments, full stop. Okay, so you have managerial level of decision making. So basically, these are the employees who evaluate companies' operations, and then they try to improve on those operations. Okay, so with managerial decisions, they generally cover short-term or medium-range plans and medium-range decision making. So the type of decisions that they are generally involved in is semi-structured. Now, why we say semi-structured? Because they occur in few locations or few situations, and they are not definite or permanent decisions. That's why it is called as semi-structured, and we've given an example there. Now, let's say if this kind of question is asked in one of your exams, mid-semester exam or final exam, you do not necessarily need to write these things word by word. Now, when we do sample answers or when we do discussions of the answers in the tutorial classes, I try to give more answers in terms of that you get more information about those concepts. Not necessarily you have to write each and everything in the answers. I hope you are knowing this by now. Okay, this is 700 level, so you're used to it, I'm guessing. So try to pick up the things or the concepts which are important, and yeah, try to make it in a way where you're able to understand things and you're able to rewrite them in your own words. And the last type of decision making is, any guesses, anyone? Last type of decision making? Strategic, thank you. Now, what does the word strategic mean? When we say strategic decisions, what are those? Let's say if I say strategic plan. So what is a strategic plan? Short term, long term?
Long term.
Long term goals. Thank you. Yes, when you talk about strategic plans, you're talking about long terms. Now, do remember this. When you talk about strategic, you talk about aligning a business to a specific goal. So whatever decisions you are making or the executives of the organizations are making, they need to ensure that those decisions cover the goals for, let's say, about 3 to 5 years time or more than that. So that's what strategic level decision making is used for. So let's go and define that. Okay, strategic level dash strategic level dash managers develop overall business strategies. Managers develop overall business strategies. Managers develop overall business strategies, comma, goals and objectives, goals and objectives, goals and objectives as part of the companies, as part of the companies apostrophe s, as part of the company's strategic plan. As part of the company's strategic plan. Full stop. They also monitor the strategic performance. They also monitor strategic performance. They also monitor the strategic performance of the organization, of the organization and its overall direction and its overall direction in political, overall direction in political, comma, political, comma, economic, comma, and competitive business environment, and competitive business environment. Full stop. Political, comma, economic, comma, and competitive business environment. Full stop. Strategic decisions are highly unstructured. Strategic decisions are highly unstructured. Strategic decisions are highly unstructured. Decisions, comma, unstructured decisions, comma, decisions, comma, occurring in situations in which occurring in situations in which occurring in situations in which no procedures or rules exist, no procedures or rules exist, no procedures or rules exist to guide decision makers, to guide decision makers toward the correct choice. Toward the correct choice. Full stop. Toward the correct choice, full stop. They are infrequent, comma, extremely important, comma, and typically related to long-term business strategies. Related to long-term business strategy. Full stop. All right. Now, the second part of the question was how machine learning in the workplace could affect each. Now, with strategic level of decision making, it's very difficult to actually go and determine how machine learning can aid them in decision making. I'll tell you why. With machine learning or artificial intelligence systems, what happens is that they, over time, study human behavior, study human intelligence, and then try to make decisions. Now, at strategic level, the decisions are normally unstructured, they are infrequent. That means it doesn't occur repeatedly. So in that case, machine learning is of very little help. So therefore, it will be very difficult to determine how machine learning can help with decisions, like we said, due to the infrequent nature of the decisions. Okay, so in this case, we will not put down an example of where machine learning in the workplace could take place. But if asked why, then you can say since it has a infrequent nature of decisions, it's difficult to determine one. Now, overall, if you look at strategic level, you're talking about executive level decision making, people or high level people in the organization who make long-term goals, and the type of decisions they make is unstructured. Why unstructured? Because there's no hard and fast rule to guide them in decision making. And also with unstructured decision making is infrequent, okay, and leads to long-term business strategy. Now, tell me this. If I would ask you, for example, look at operations level of decision making, look at managerial level of decision making, and look at strategic level of decision making. Which one is the most important and why? Take a minute, think about it, and if you can come up with an answer, you can unmute and speak. Let me repeat the question. You have operations level decision making, you have managerial, you have strategic. If I ask you which one is the most important and why, what would be your answer? Feel free to speak. No answer is a wrong answer. If you make a mistake, we'll correct you. We're all learning. Anyone? Which one is most important? Yes, Ritika, go on.
I'll try to go for managerial decision.
Managerial
It's
decision?
like, because managers work closely with their employees and they can adjust with the workforce. It's like timely manner. If there's one material is not there, and they can adjust with the other product, or if with other material, just to adjust and take out the products based on the forecast, or just to meet the customer's requirement.
Okay.
So
So you are saying managerial level?
yes.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. Ritika, thank you so much. Okay. Now, is there anyone else who has a different answer? Now, if you are thinking at the moment, if you're just thinking on what question I had asked and you're trying to answer in your head, this is what you're supposed to do in your critic writing. You're supposed to look at directions and then feed off the directions and try to come up with conclusions. Anyone else has a different answer? So Ritika says manager level. Thank you, Ritika. You could be right, you could be wrong. Let's just stay there for at the moment. So anyone else has a different answer? No? So that means all of you agree with manager level? Okay. Ritika, thank you so much for making an attempt to answer the question, and I appreciate your contribution to the class. Now, if we really consider, okay, if we sit back and really consider which one is important, okay, so think about this, what I'm saying. Now, you have strategic level of decision making, people who set the goals of a particular business, people who make long-term decisions, people who make extremely important decisions. Now, if you look at the definition for your strategic level decision making, I think the very last sentence that you wrote, have a look where you wrote, okay, says there are infrequent and extremely important. Okay, now why this strategic level of decision making is very important, because once the decision made is on the top level, that decision trickles down to the managers, and the managers ensure that the operation level also functions accordingly. So indirectly, Ritika, you are also right that the manager level, they play an important role. They need to ensure that whatever goals are fed in, they trickle it down to the operations level. However, here's the thing: if your strategic level decision making is incorrect, your managerial level will also make incorrect decisions. And if they make incorrect decisions, your operations at the bottom of the organization would also be messed up. So overall, if you look at it, the entire decision making process, or basically we can say the skeleton or the backbone of the decision making process, lies in the hands of the strategic level decision makers. In other words, people who are running the organization, the top level staff. All right, thank you. Let's move on to question number 2. Identify how machine learning can transform a traditional business process like checking out of a grocery store. How can they do that? Now, let's go and answer this, okay? Machine learning can automate business processes. Machine learning can automate business processes. Full stop. Let's pause for a while and discuss this. What do you feel? Do you think machine learning is being used in our supermarkets these days here in Fiji? Do we have machine learning being used? Yes, we do. The FPOS system that you use, You have a barcode reader, so the barcode reader is scanned off, and at the same time, it feeds into the computer system. So from the computer's database, it pulls down the price, and then it basically charges you that amount accordingly. Now we are looking things from a customer point of view. Now, how does business use that? This is what happens. As soon as a new stock comes in a supermarket, so there will be data entry clerks who will be entering the data in the computerized system. So in their databases, they will be feeding in the product information. For example, Revalife milk. There's 3,000 packets of Revalife milk in the bulk, and the cost price is this, the selling price is this, and the profit is this amount. So as you are cashing out and buying Revalife milk, so as soon as you cash out. So let's say you buy 3 packets, so 3 packets is deducted from that 3,000 packet that is in stock. Over time, as soon as it is selling out, that stock is being deducted. So it comes a time when it meets a specific threshold. So a threshold would be something like this. If New World decides in our FPOS system, if Revalife milk reaches a threshold of, let's say, 500 packets, there's a time they would reorder that particular item. So as soon as it reaches 500, it straight away shoots up a message to the managers, or to, in this case, the bulk managers. So the bulk managers will be getting it, and they will be ordering it from the distributors. Now, if you take it to a level advanced, what happens is that many times that particular email is directly shot off, or it is directly and electronically sent to the distributions itself. The distributors, as soon as they know there's 500 packets left, they would come in, resupply. So that's how machine learning works in supermarkets. And it is working here in Fiji. Now, it's just that we may be unaware. It's just that we may be ignorant, not to know about it or not to learn about it. But it is very much is in use. So to answer our question, we said machine learning can automate business processes. Now, how can it automate business processes in case of checking out of a grocery store? You can give an example, FPOS systems. FPOS systems. Now, how do you spell FPOS? Is EFTPOS. FPOS systems. EFTPOS. By the way, the long term, or the full form for FPOS is electronic fund transfer through point of sale. EFTPOS, electronic fund transfer through point of sale. Now, with FPOS, FPOS is basically the machine that you're using to cash in. If you're using your bank cards, your debit cards, or your credit cards to swipe off and then deduct the funds from your bank accounts, that's FPOS. Now, how is it working? So it is electronically transferring funds to the FPOS, to the POS system, the point of sale. So the software that the supermarkets use is called point of sale. So it electronically transfers it off. So that's one. The second example that I can give is NFC systems. NFC. So the long form for NFC is near field communication. NFC, near field communication, put down in brackets, NFC systems. Now, if you have been abroad, or if you have seen in YouTube videos or in movies, something like that, NFC systems are used whereby a person comes in with his or her groceries, comes to the counter, and then cashes in the item. So instead of swiping off in the FPOS system or giving the money, he or she taps his or her mobile phone. So your mobile phone generally has a particular sensor. In your mobile phone, you have a sensor which is called a NFC sensor. So with the NFC software, what you do is, in mobile phone case, you have an NFC app. So in the NFC app, you'll feed in your information and you activate your NFC sensor. And when you go to the supermarket, all you need to do is you need to touch the back of your phone, because that's generally where the sensor is. It needs to tap to the NFC sensor at the counter of the cashier. So as soon as you tap, it transfers data from your phone to that machine and automatically transferring the amount directly into the company's account. Now, that is very much active in the world. If you go to modern supermarkets in New Zealand, I'm not sure about New Zealand, but in US it's very much common. Okay, so those are two examples: FPOS systems and NFC. Now, FPOS, electronic fund transfer through point of sale, and you have NFC, near field communication. Any questions, anyone? Now, don't ask me when are we going to get those kind of devices here in Fiji. I don't know actually. We were supposed to get NFC systems this year. I think if you had overheard in last year's budget, we were supposed to get NFC systems in our supermarkets. Unfortunately, due to the entire COVID situation, it has come to a halt. But it would have made your work a bit easier. Okay, NFC systems. There's another disadvantage point. I don't know how many mobile phones here in Fiji actually supports NFC. So far I know the high-end devices, they have the NFC features in them, the NFC sensor. So with the low-end devices, I'm not so sure. So those people will have to go back with the normal cash based transactions. Okay, question number 3. Let's go over this. Explain the relationship between bias and machine learning for Alexa. Okay, now let's go and put it down. The answer: if there is bias in data being fed, if there is bias, BIAS, in data being fed to Alexa, bias means you are in favor of something. If there is bias in the data being fed to Alexa, comma, then she will learn with that bias. Then she will learn with that bias. Full stop. Just pause. Okay, now what happens here is with Alexa, like I mentioned, it's an artificial intelligence system. So it will learn things over time. Now, how does it learn? Through speech recognition systems. Okay, so if there's bias, if you try to feed in data in a specific way in the Alexa computerized system, then it will actually output based on that biased data that you fed in. So I'll give an example here. So let's write down, for example, comma, if you always use the word parents, if you always use the word parents, father, mother, parents, to represent a man, and a woman, if you always use the word parents to represent a man and a woman, comma, then Alexa would learn that, then Alexa would learn that a man and a woman, represent parents. Full stop. Now, what it simply means in this case is that if you are continuously using the word parents to represent a man and a woman together, okay, so Alexa will adapt to it. But in real case, there may be some children who would be single parented, okay, so that could be some form of biased data. Question number 4. Let's quickly finish this. Argue for against following statement. Machine learning systems like Alexa invade user privacy. Machine learning systems like Alexa invade user privacy. What is simply the statement is saying is that when you have systems like Alexa in your household, whatever you're saying, whatever you are doing in terms of dialogue and in terms of communication, it is all been recorded and fed into a database which is controlled by Amazon. So what it says that it invades user privacy. Now you can have your own answers here. Either you can say yes, or either you can say no. You can say yes in terms of your conversation is listened by Alexa 24/7, and all this information can be stored in Amazon's computer system. Now, you have to be careful here is when we say conversation, if you are speaking your username password, let's say to a family member, if you're giving in your ATM or credit card pins to your family member, and Alexa is next to you and is overhearing and recording this, all this information can be fed into Amazon's database. And if one of the employees decide to go rogue, then he or she can use all this information to hack in money from your account. So in that case, it can be said yes. Now, you can also say no. Why you can say no is you're saying Amazon is a very reputable organization. So they may be having some form of standards or some form of contracts where it avoids things like user privacy. Could be, could be not. So it's totally up to you. Either you want to say yes, you can give a reason. If you want to say no, there's also a reason. All good, everyone? Any questions in regards to these 4 questions? Any questions? Any queries? If no questions, no queries, then this is what we'll do next. Is we'll hop into our Moodle page very, very quickly, and then we'll go over our critic writing assignment. Okay, let's have a look at the question. Please ensure that you're reading the instructions very well. Okay. So this is critic writing. It carries 5% towards your coursework. Okay, a total of 15 marks. Yes, total of 15 marks. So it reads as instructions. This assessment is to be completed in groups of 3 maximum. So max of 3, not more than 3. Students who wish to complete this assessment alone or groups of 2, you are permitted to do so. Okay, so if you want to work alone or if you want to do it in pairs, you are most welcome to do so. Are you able to see the screen? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, furthermore, each group will decide on a group leader. The group leader will manage the group and will be the corresponding figure in the team. So to the very beginning, I mentioned the group leader would be the one who will be choosing the question. So the group leader is the corresponding figure in the team. There are a total of 18 questions available for selection. The group will select one of the topics. Once selected, the topic becomes unavailable for the other groups. Now, here's the thing. So this is the selection spot. Here. Okay, so this is your selection spot, which says choose your topic, choose your critic question here. Tomorrow 1 AM is available. So from tomorrow, you can go around choosing your topic. Group leader will be selecting the topic on behalf of the group. A selection feature will be placed underneath the critical question assessment section of the CIAN 708 Moodle shell. Now you could paper format. Now your format is as below. You have topic introduction, you have background information, you'll have thesis statement, you'll have essay body, and then you have conclusion. Now let's go and talk about these format and what things you can include in your format. Now with introduction, topic introduction is basically you introduce the topic. What is your topic about? Okay, and few explanation about the topic. You'll also explain or state your thesis. Now what thesis is, I'll explain in a while, but you'll state your thesis in your introduction as well, and you will outline the structure of your entire critic writing. Let me repeat that. With introduction, you will introduce the topic, you will state your thesis, and in it, you will outline the structure. For example, let's say I am talking about Fiji's tourism industry. So in that case, I will introduce Fiji's tourism industry. And let's say I say that Fiji's tourism industry contributes 50% to the GDP. Okay. And I'll describe more about it and what are some of the features of the tourism industry. Also with that, I will explain the main terms or the main points of Fiji's tourism industry, which covers up the thesis statement. And I will give an outline in the introduction. Probably the very last paragraph in the introduction, you can say the critic writing consists of background information, thesis statement, essay body, conclusion. Okay, so that is the outline of the introduction. With background information, which is worth 3 marks, you will give background information on the topic. For example, the same example that we listed earlier, Fiji's tourism industry. So first of all, you'll talk about Fiji. You'll describe tourism industry in Fiji. And then you will give reasons of tourism industry being a successful venture in Fiji. So that would cover up some sort of background information on Fiji's tourism industry. Third point that you have for the format is thesis statement. Now with thesis statement, you will give in the main points that you are focusing on. If you have a question in which you have to critique about something, in which you have to argue about something, or you have to speak in favor of something, what that favor point is, what the argument point is, you'll list it down here. For instance, example, we're talking about tourism industry. So you will say tourism in Fiji is Fiji's backbone because you'll give reasons. Let's say 5 points. Point 1, blah, blah, blah. Point 2, point 3, point 4, point 5. So that covers up your thesis statement. Able to get me? Let me give an example of thesis statement. So thesis statement with the tourism industry. Tourism in Fiji is a backbone, tourism industry is a backbone of Fiji's economy because it contributes 50% of GDP. Because, second point, largest employment provider in Fiji. Because international relations, it is able to build international relations in Fiji. So those are examples of thesis statements. Okay, so it could be close to about one or two sentences with few points. You can point it out, you can list it out. Now, essay outline. Remember those points that I was talking about in thesis statement that you have to cover up the main points. So those main points in your essay outline or your essay body, you have to describe them. If I said that tourism industry covers 50% of GDP, I'll have to describe how and so forth. If I say it provides the largest income for Fiji, or it is the largest employment provider in Fiji, how? Explain it, describe it. So that is the essay body. And finally is conclusion. Conclusion is like a sum up. You're summing up and you're concluding your points and ideas. It's pretty simple. Now, please do note this is when you are writing your critic writing, okay, the points that you're arguing or the points that you're coming in favor of, you need to come up with proof. When I say proof, if I'm saying that, okay, tourism contributes to 50% of Fiji's GDP, so I need to come up with a proof that, okay, it is proven somewhere. So who said it, when and where? For example, it may be on fijivillage.com. So I can say it's on fijivillage.com and the author's name and this and that and which date. So that is a reference or a citation for me. So with that said, you can use any form of citation or referencing structures. So if you're coming up with points, if you're coming up with arguments, you need to have references. And and which kind of referencing to use? You can use any. You can use APA, you can use Harvard, whichever you find easy. Is that okay, everyone? Any questions, any queries? No, okay. Now refer to the bottom of the document for information on submission, backup, late submission, and plagiarism. So before we go there are a total of 18 questions. Now I won't be discussing the questions because if I would discuss it, I might end up giving the answers. Okay, so I won't be discussing the questions. That's for you and your 4 group to read, and then you critique on it. You critique whether you are in favor of it or you are in argument of it, and you have to give your reasons. Now let's go down. Yeah, submission. Submit the critic writing in a Word document. So if you give me your critic writing in any other formats, I will not be accepting them. It needs to be in a Word document. Why? Because there's a plagiarism checker, Tenet in, enabled with the submission. It is only able to detect Word documents at the moment, and it is configured as such. So therefore, it needs to be in Word document in the submission drop box provided in the assessment section of the Moodle shell. So where is that? Here. This is the one. Okay. Now with that, you should also know the due dates. Your due date is on the 1st of September, close to about 3 to 4 weeks from now, 11:59 p.m. or 23:59 hours. Okay, so yeah, so that is your due date. Cutoff date, I'll come back to it just in a while. Now backup, make regular backups for your assignment to avoid disappointments. Keep multiple copies, please. Submitting late, start early. Also, when you finish, don't hold on to your assignment till the last moment. Submit as soon as you are satisfied with it. Plagiarism. It refers to submitting or presenting someone else's work, writing, invention, or other creative work as his or her own work, writing, invention, or other creative work. Plagiarism may exist in the following terms. 1. The work submitted were done in part or whole by an individual other than the one submitting or presenting the work. That means you are submitting somebody else's work. The whole work or parts of it are copied from another source without due reference. What it means is you have copied that particular work from the web and you have not given any form of referencing to it. Now that brings me to copy and pasting. Now please try to refrain from copying and pasting. If you are picking up ideas from the web, try your level best to rephrase it in a way which it couldn't be identified as copying and pasting, and also try to understand and write it down in your own words. So no problem. Okay. 3, a student submits in one course which has already been submitted in another course. Without prior arrangement with both course lecturers, it is important that you avoid plagiarism. Not only you do expose yourself to possibly serious disciplinary consequences, but also cheat yourself on a proper understanding of the course. So just in case if you have a similar course, now I do understand there might be students previously have done 708. Now here's the thing, those who have submitted, those of them who have submitted it beforehand, their work is already in Tenetin's database. So if you submit their work in here in this particular semester, you'll be caught anyway. So if you're caught just in those terms, it can lead to serious disciplinary consequences where you might be suspended for a semester or so. So please try your level best not to do something as such. And 4, the accepted rate of plagiarism for this assessment is 20%. So if your plagiarism checker hits below 20%, that's good. If it goes beyond 20%, marks shall be deducted for it. Marks should be deducted for plagiarism rate above 20%. Any assessment with a plagiarism rate of 50% or more shall not be accepted. If your plagiarism rate hits more than 50%, your work will not be accepted. It doesn't mean that I'll give you a 0. What I'll do is next, our students will be given one more attempt to resubmit within a time frame of 48 hours. So that means within 2 days time, you should be able to resubmit your assessment. Now, failure to submit or failure to improve the plagiarism rate, then the students shall be rewarded a mark of 0. Okay, so just a standard procedure. It's a 700 level unit. Okay, and I think by now all of you should understand this. If you copy, if you submit late, okay, marks will be deducted for it accordingly. Yeah, and all the best. So this is your assignment. Now moving on, this is what I want to go through. Okay, now you have a forum which says submit your group details. Now in here you are supposed to submit the names of your group members. I think I've given an example even. See, no one has replied to it. So submit your group details. So you have group members, for example, Tom Middlestone, Ken McDaniel, and Bimal Kumar. So these are the 4 group members. I'm just giving an example. So whoever is a group leader, his or her name should come on top and labeled as group leader. So what you're supposed to do is the very first thing that you should have done by now. Never mind, do it now, okay, or probably by today or tomorrow. And then your group leader will come and choose your critic question. So 18 questions, whoever chooses the question first, that question is theirs. Now, if you're still unsure how to do critic writing, I've also provided you with a PowerPoint slide, which explains how you can go around doing critic writing, how you can go around putting your references, and how do you actually acknowledge people of the work that you borrow without asking, but you're still borrowing. And this is your submission Dropbox. Now, your submission Dropbox, okay, so there's 21 of you altogether, okay, you still have 26 days and 8 hours to do your assessment. Now, here's the thing, due date is the 1st of September and the time is 11:59 p.m. Now, you have a cutoff date as well. Now, what is a cutoff date? Anyone has any idea what is a cutoff date? Or this is the first time you're hearing this concept? Cutoff date, anyone?
No.
No? Okay, so I think this is the first time you're using cutoff date. Okay, it's been there for quite some time. Cutoff date is something as this. Your assignment is due on the 1st of September 2021, 11:59 p.m. So that's the day your assignment is going to be due. And any time later that you submit after September 1st, 11:59 p.m., deductions start. Now, what is the deduction rate? So deduction on late submission, there's a link provided. I'll quickly open it up. So if you submit within a time frame of 24 hours, this is what happens. So if it's due on 11:59 p.m. and you submit even 2 seconds late, so you go within that 24-hour time frame. So the deduction rate is 10%. So if you would submit your assignment, let's say within 48-hour time range, so there's another 10% added to it, so 20% in total. So that's your deduction rate. Okay, so within 24-hour time range, 10%. If you exceed the 24-hour, you hop into the 25th hour, so that jumps into the 48-hour time range, so 20% deduction in total. Go over this. Okay, and so if you submit late, after 11:59 p.m. So 10% reduction within the 24 hours time range. Now, what cutoff date is this? So you still have time to submit on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. On the 6th of September, 11:59 p.m. That is the final date that you are allowed to submit your assessments with deduction. If that means if you try to submit your assignment on the 7th, you are not allowed to do so and you get a 0. So cutoff date would simply mean is the maximum time that you are allowed to submit your assignments even after the due date. But once you reach this date and time, it's the red light for you. That means after that you cannot submit anymore. Okay, so that is cutoff date. Deduction on late submission and deduction on identical submissions, links provided. Also, you may be able to view these on the announcements. The very first few things that I had posted on the announcements was late submission and deductions on identical submissions. To go over them. Okay, so that's on your critic writing. Now, overall, it's a bit challenging, but it's not difficult. If you're able to read well your questions, you're able to understand it, you'll have to do some additional readings online, and once you do that, should be fine. But apart from that, if you have any further questions or queries in regards to your critic writing or question, do feel free to drop me an email or send me a message in Moodle. I'll be most happy to correspond, but please do not ask me how or what the answer is. Okay, because that is something I will not tell. I have to be fair to everyone. Okay, so yeah. Apart from that, if you have general questions in regards to the critic writing, do feel free to let me know. Okay, any questions, any queries, anyone?
Sir, well, base lecture quiz, those when it's completed, the grade, it'll be automatic grade our marks uploaded on Moodle on the grade summary.
Yes, this is for lecture-based quiz. Is that what you're asking?
So as soon as you complete it, our marks will be there automatically on grades.
Yes, as soon as you complete it, your marks will be coming up into the grade section. If you would click, okay, let's view this. Okay, so if you would be, as soon as you would complete, I'm viewing his because he's not here in the class at the moment, also he's not attempted it. So if you would, as soon as you complete it, you should be able to see your marks straight away.
Oh yeah, okay, thank you.
So, thank you. Any other questions, any other queries?
No questions from me, so all good.
Okay, thank you, Chome. Anyone else? Any questions, any queries? Okay, if no questions or no queries, what we'll do is we'll knock off the class for today over here. Now, just in case if you come up with any questions or come up with any queries later onwards, feel free to drop me a message on Moodle or feel free to drop me an email. I'll be most happy to correspond. But just do give me some time to correspond because at the moment my emails are flooded with the requests all around and also Moodle messages. Okay, I've got one unread at the moment, so many will be coming in. Many come in on daily basis. Okay, so as soon as you drop an email, give me some time, definitely I'll correspond. All right. If no questions or no queries, this is where we'll knock off the class for today. Thank you so much for joining in, and I'll see you all next week. Till then, take care, stay safe, have a blessed weekend, everyone. Thank you.